Hello there, lovely humans out there. How are you today? I hope you're good. This is Cuckoo, another fellow human, and I hope we can connect over this fascinating piece of gear that I want to teach you how to use today. And it's right here. This is Erae 2. It's a very, very interesting controller because you can make your own custom sort of pixel art layout with different buttons, keyboards, switches, faders, and then you can just very quickly switch between them. Then you can loop everything as well. This is really, really good. They made the original Erae Touch a couple of years ago, and that one was only MIDI, but this one has a bunch of ports on the back, so making it also a CV controller, so you can control both MIDI gear such as the Digitact, which I'm going to show you now, and also Erae stuff, which I'm also going to show you an example of. So in this video, I'm going to go through how to make your custom layouts using a computer, and then how to incorporate that into your gear. Right, let's go. Erae 2, it's a controller, it's a MIDI instrument, it's a CV instrument, and it's only an instrument when it controls something else. But first, just very quickly going to go through the hardware basic operation. First of all, a very nice to touch rubber silicone pad. It's stiff and it's very responsive. There is, however, a soft version as well, and it comes in an envelope. You open it up, you get clear instructions of how to replace it. You unscrew, pop out the frame, take out the previous one, and in you go with the new one. And then there's a tool here, all you need, and then you pop back the frame again and screw it in place again and enjoy. So the difference you can see when I bend it, it's kind of creasing up. It's because there is a textile overlay. It's similar to some types of neoprene mouse mats and that type of thing. But inside it, it's a sort of gel-like substance that is extremely soft and kind of gooey, but very pleasant. So this softer one is more for finger operations only, and maybe especially for MPE, but I think for finger drumming it feels much more precise and distinct with the harder surface. So I'm using the harder one, it's my preference, and also the harder one can take drumsticks, which the softer one cannot because of the slow nature of the substance inside it. Maybe it doesn't transfer energy as fast as this harder one does. So the harder one, very good all-rounder. The softer one, especially for very sensitive finger playing. All right, so what is it? Controller, got 8 layouts. And play, record, stop for the looper. Plus and minus for adjusting octave, for instance, on note-based elements. And this one, it's a bass clef. It's for changing the scales on different elements, note-based elements. And this one is the looper. This is for mapping. So you can on device, you don't need the software for everything. But for setting up a whole new layout, you need the software. But once it's set up, you can hit this button and reconfigure some of the settings per element with this one. For instance, maybe you want to send it out to an additional MIDI output. You can do right on the device. Arpeggiator. Yeah. Settings in here. So once you pop this one, you got a bunch of different settings. You can load different layouts. You can save layouts into different layout slots. Yes, and this is a back button, and it's both for undoing whatever you did with the looper, or for clearing the looper data in one of the slots or tracks, or for exiting a menu. All right, let's plug it in. No, hold on a second. Let's show the back side. The behind. There we go. Focus. All right. So we've got 3 USB-C ports here. The first one is for power only, so only power coming in here, and it comes with a I think 45 watt USB-C charger, which is very high quality and good, and long, nice cables. The next port is for connecting to the computer. And once you're working with the layout editor and also API specific stuff if you're a programmer. Third one is USB host. So if you want to connect something like a MIDI keyboard or another musical device that will connect to a computer, well, you can put it into USB host, and this will then be the computer, the host that will take external MIDI devices over USB. So then we've got 3 MIDI ports, MIDI B, A, and in. I'm going in reverse, I'm realizing, but that's the way it goes. Sometimes it's upside down, sometimes it's backwards. MIDI out B, MIDI out A, and MIDI in. So these are the main MIDI outputs, although you can use MIDI host and MIDI to computer as well. MIDI input is for sending any MIDI related message into the device, such as clock, for instance. There's no way to get CV clock into it, unfortunately, I'd say. And so any type of synchronization or clock must come over MIDI, either through the TRS MIDI here or through a USB MIDI. And then we've got all of these CV outputs. It's 12 ports, but it's 24 outputs because all of them are in stereo. If you have mono cables for a Eurorack modular, then those cables will be channel 1 through 12. If you have stereo cables plugged in, then I'm not sure which one is ring and tip, but one of the right or left is 1 through 12. The other one is 13 through 24. So heaps of inputs and outputs. I'm going to twist it around just to show you what it looks like on the back here. So if you were to change the skin, as they're calling it, you see these little arrows here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you just unscrew these, take this, see the little, can you see it? Yeah, you can see it, right? The frame below here can slide off. Then you take this out, put the other one in, slide it back in, and then screw them back in. Very, very simple, and it feels extremely sturdy. And then we've got the button here that also rotates. Click, rotate, click. Very, very nice and chunky. And then we've got this on and off here. So let's fire it up and see what we get. Oh dang it! I prepared this nice little label here. Hardware overview. Was supposed to be up there all this time. Let's see. Power. Boop. Turn it on. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 seconds to boot. Nice. So I have made a bunch of layouts here. It's especially developed for my modular setup. But now I just want to give a very quick introduction to how it works. Well, this is a surface, and you can play it like so, and you can slide it like so. You can press hard, you can swipe, you can record a little loop like so, and it will play back. It is magical, and it works really, really well. You can also use drumsticks. It's so sensitive and it's extremely fast, both the scan rate and the throughput and what comes out into the CV and MIDI. It's very, very low latency, so it's very suitable for both drums and finger playing. Basic operation: select your layout, play it, select another layout, play that, another layout, play that, pick up your drumstick, and play it. Press the play button to play back, press it again to enter recording mode, record the stuff you want to record. It's now recorded. You could record every parameter. And one thing to know, and I say this early on because you need to understand this, you're recording your interaction with the surface. That is what's being recorded into the loop and being played back onto the surface. So whatever elements are below the surface will be hit and interacted with with the recording data of your surface input. If I stop it now, I set these in other positions, it didn't burn in the state of all the elements, it just recorded the surface. So you're not actually doing parameter locking on the actual elements out there. You're recording and playing back your fingers. And that's pretty cool because that allows for very, very free operation. So this one, plus and minus, whenever you play a note-based element, this, well, if you're not directly in the sun, will show what octave it is. And you can press it to change the octave of the element. And that is also like a note element. This is a note key. Nice. And then you can press this scale here to access various scales. So this could then be in a different scale. For instance, D, I tune it differently into a different octave. I go back, I go to a keyboard, press that, scale. You can set it to different types of scales with different root notes and different octaves. Nice. And this is the mapper that I was talking about. You press an item, press the mapper, and you can change the routing in a very nice menu here. And then we've got the arpeggiator, which can turn on and off, toggle on and off an arpeggiator. Nice. And here's the menu. Go in here, load project, and I can load project 1, for instance, and reset all of this. And then you have loaded your project. So that's some basic operation of the hardware. I think the hardware is super solid and super tight. Now, let's introduce the software and some other hardware because we need to play something. We can't just theoretically fool around with a controller and not control anything. So let's introduce the software and a device to play. Let's do that. And maybe I'll pull the curtains down because of the beautiful light here. Sorry. There we go. Sorry about the light. It's a balance between a nice experience for me. Oh, so beautiful light. A nice experience for you. You can see what's going on. All right. So now you can see what's going on. I'm running the software on my Mac, but it looks like I'm running it on my iPad. I'm not running it on the iPad. This is the iPad running in sidecar mode. All right. So I need to connect it to the computer as well. So currently I've got 2 USB cables plugged in, as you can see. One for power, one for the computer. Can you power it straight from the computer? Yes, you can, but it will be dimmer. So I could pull this one now and it reboots, and now we're running in lower power mode. If you get a little warning here, it can run to some extent, but if we're using all the CV, it doesn't get all the power, all the juice it needs, and the LEDs are not as bright as they need to be. So we can't run it fully operational with just the power from the computer. So I'm going to plug it in again and reboot it. So for full functionality, I always use the power input. All right, let's get going. So this is the software. We got all the elements you can use here, some basic undo and stuff here. And we've got tuning and style. Tuning is for setting up what kind of signals is going out where. Style is the color and the way it looks. And this grid here is where you compose your layout. This is all about music, controlling musical instruments, playing musical instruments, and having fun. So here's my Dig Attack 2, a very splendid musical instrument from Electron. And I have some music on it that I want to control with my controller. So first of all, we need to control it, right? So we need to hook it up. And this is MIDI. This speaks MIDI. So MIDI cable straight into here. Let's do it. And I got this wonderful MIDI cables from CME. And I'm going to use them. So MIDI in to MIDI out. And now I'm realizing I've got a logistic problem here. Maybe I need to switch these around. All right, so this is now going to send stuff out, a MIDI out A into this. So what are we going to send here? Let's listen to a track here. First thing I want to do, just to try it out, is to play a note. Let's make a drum kit. Okay, so these tracks here would respond to MIDI config, let's see, port channels, track channels. So it's all off right now, but let's turn on MIDI channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Port config, input from MIDI. Cool. All right, let's try that. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to plop out a key. I'm going to use it on MIDI channel 1, and I will say that this, I want to send this to MIDI, not to USB device, but to MIDI A. And this is going to be a note C. And I don't want this pressure stuff, not vibrato, not anything of this, but because this can mess up stuff. Just a clean note, nothing else. I think actually this is a kit. So we could potentially play this with a keyboard. Yeah, let's do that instead. So I'm gonna keyboard, let's go. Keyboard here, going out to MIDI channel 1 is channel 1. And then no pressure, no glissando, no vibrato, clean, and nothing of this, just a clean note. I'm surprised that this is actually the default values. I think the default value should be clean and simple, but this default value has a bunch of stuff that will mess up settings. So let's see it. Okay, so this keyboard is going out onto MIDI A, and we're only playing a MIDI note. And with a MIDI note comes the actual note on and off, and then the velocity. So we got velocity going on there. If we think we have to strike the surface too hard in order to achieve the velocity we want, we go into the menu, go down to velocity curve and change it. So we can boost the curve like so and get it much easier to play hard. And we can change it the other way around if we want to. If we wanted to accept harder input and get it slower to get to the hard velocity. So in this case, I'm gonna turn it up a bit. Cool, now we've got a good velocity. That was fairly easy. How about making a specific button for track 3 snare drum? Let's do that. Slide a key out here. Whoop. Before we do anything else, turn off the fancy stuff. Turn off pressure, vibrato, double check here, nothing is on. All right, channel 3, MIDI A, gonna turn off USB device. How about this one? Yeah, bring out another key. I want to change the style there and make it yellow, because yellow is my preferred color for cymbals. And there we go, even looks like a cymbal. Tune, channel 2, turn off pressure, vibrato, double check, turn on MIDI A. Yeah. I want this to ripple when I touch this. I want it to kind of sparkle a little bit. So let's go in here, go to the style and change finger animation click to ripple. On the finger animation, it's stuff that when you press or interact, stuff will happen. So now we get a little ripple when we tap it. I'm going to do that with this as well. So go in here, click, ripple. Purple is not a suitable color for snare drum. I'm going to change it to, how about this? So now I can play this. And jam along. Now we're going to try the drumsticks and just see how responsive it is. And this is going to be a benchmark of your system. Is the MIDI quick enough on your target device? Has the target device too much of a sound buffer in order to process the sound it's making before it's sending it out to the speaker? All of these little things can create latency in the system. And some of that you can do something about. Some of it you cannot do anything about. I'd say that the Digitac 2 is playable. It's not the fastest of all in the world, but it is playable. It is fast. Yeah, it's very fast. If you can do a roll like that and you feel like it's keeping up, then you know it's fast. But if you feel like the roll came a little late, then you know there's somewhere there is a little latency building up. So I'm gonna mute these tracks now. So now I muted those two tracks and playing them live instead. These are notes, very simple to program and set up. You got your own thing going on here. Right, so how about sliders? A slider or a fader. Let's introduce that as well. So I'm gonna put these little tighter together, make this keyboard a little shorter. Let's put out something called a fader 2D. On the same page here. How about giving it a nice color? As a user, I don't know how far it goes. I don't know how long this element is. So what I'm going to do is to give the black color a little bit of a hint of brightness so that I know with maybe a little bluish. And then this one a little bit more saturated. Yeah, now I can see the whole length of the slider, making it easier for me to predict or to plan my movement. So what should that then control? Let's see. This is sending into the reverb and delay. How about going into the delay and controlling the feedback so that this determines the feedback of the delay? Let's do that. First of all, we need to bring up the manual to check out the feedback on the delay, what CC message it is responding to. So let's do that. So here we go, delay here, send effect parameters, feedback 24, CC 24. On which channel? Well, it's on the channel we've set up here. MIDI config channels, effect control. In this case, it's on MIDI channel 9. So here we go. Go in here, tune. Before I'm sending, I'm setting it up. So first of all, channel 9, that's what we set up. Pressure, no pressure. And Y, absolute position, yes. Controller, we said 24, right? And for starters, we're going to send the whole value, which is a bit crazy, to be honest. So MIDI A. Right, so this should now, in fact, control this value. As we can see, it's working and it's very, very satisfying to look at this. Yeah, this is nice. All right, so. Feedback control. But as you can hear, it can go out of control because I know that the way this value works is that in the middle point, halfway through, it's 100% feedback. And if you go above that, it will very quickly spin out of control. So what I'm going to do here is to set this up to be maxing out at somewhere just above maximum value. So now we've done that. Let's see. Now we're maxing this out slightly above the middle point. So this is growing, and around here it's 100%. feedback, and around here it's going down. But now it's on the other hand going all the way down to 0, which I never want. It's a value I never want. So maybe the lowest point, the minimum point, could be somewhere around there. So now we've got a much smaller window to control. Okay, let's try that now. What I will do now is to reset this pattern just to check the value. So 71 is the value that I'm using for the song. So this is going a little bit too low. So I'm going to raise it a bit. Yeah, even more. 77. Let's see now. 73. Slightly lower. 45. How about that? Check the value. Yeah, close enough. So now I know that when I go all the way down there, I'm back to the default value that I set this song up to have on the delay feedback. Yeah, cool. And now this is really nice. So now we've got set up a keyboard for one of the tracks that happen to be a kit. We've got a note for this track, another note for this track, and we've got this for controlling the delay feedback. I want to make another fader. Let's see. Let's try this 2D fader. Make a little gap between them. So this fader is controlling two things at the same time. One horizontal and one vertical. X and Y. Let's make the Y control something. Let's see. How about this? Let's see, where is it? Yeah, this one. Eerie stuff. Sounds like Korok Forest. Let's make track 15 respond to a MIDI channel as well. MIDI config, channels, track 15. I'm going to make that respond to channel 11 so that it's not interfering with effects tracks or audio channel. So track 11 will now be changing the tuning by doing this. Right, let's set it up. Track 15, set up. Go down here to modulation wheel. Modulation wheel will go into tune and tune it up. Let's see what that sounds like. For a slight 12 steps. Okay, so mod wheel is typically on CC1. So here we go. We got this one set up. Channel 11 in this case. Y-axis to controller 1. And now we get a warning here. CC1 is used somewhere. And I think it's used here. It's going to set this to, for the time being, turn it off. So Y is controller 1. Pressure off. Off. All right. MIDI A. Let's go. Moment of truth. Ooh, yeah. This is now the mod wheel. Cool. So we got here. And now let's set up the X-axis to do something else. Breath control is on MIDI CC2. So it's easy to remember. Mod wheel and breath controller, 1 and 2. So y-axis, controller 1. X-axis, enabled MIDI CZ controller 2. All right, so this should now do breath controller modulation. All right, so what should we do there? Something distortive, maybe. Let's see. Let's see what bit rate reduction does. Plus filter width. Turn that down. All right, and then play it. Losing myself into it there. I'm not really used to drumming with drumsticks, so it's a real effort for me to even stay remotely in time, but it makes it extremely organic, much more playable, much more engaging to look at probably as well, once you're actually in the music and playing it and controlling it. Yeah, all right, cool. Let's try another song here. Let's see what we've got. Got sort of a break beat going on. I'm going to make another layout. Let's start from scratch here and think of another musical approach to control music and use a controller. First thing I want to do is to control a lot of channels at the same time. So I'm going to do something a bit crazy here. Set all the tracks to the same channel. So let's see here. Set them all to channel 1. And let's see what we have. Mostly drums on top. And then kind of tonal patches below. So let's keep the rhythm on channel 1 and then the tonal on channel 2. So now we've got that set up. Channel 1 and channel 2. Top row 1, row 2, 2. So I'm going to set up all these tracks to tune down. How about that? So let's set up, go down to modulation wheel, and modulation wheel is going to take the tuning down. I'm not sure which track I'm on. Okay, this one. Yeah. And we're going to make another fader for this. There we go. Gonna make it slightly visible or a cool color. And this is going to send y-axis and controller 1, which means modulation wheel, and then pressure is going to be off, MIDI on, channel 1. Yeah, there we go. So this is now a mod wheel on channel 1. And this is going to be, let's see. Cool. Now I'm going to copy this, do that on all the tracks. Paste, 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 paste. Right. Let's see. And now I'm going to play it. Isn't that fun? That is immensely fun. That is so much fun. All right, okay, and on the second row, let's make another one. We can copy and paste this with a keyboard. Give it a slightly different color. How about this? Am I blasting it too high? Maybe gonna turn down the brightness so it's looking more great on screen. 50%. There we go. For you. We've been keeping going for some time. Maybe I should turn on the light now because the sun has set. Oh, nice. If you can see what I'm seeing now. All right. I'm going to show you my view. So lovely. This is a lovely view. Hashtag thankful. We were going to control the second row now. So tune channel 2, second row. The bass, do something with the bass. Let's see, set up, modulation wheel, bass, MIDI A, channel 2. Oh, controller 1. There we go. Maybe maybe that, and filter bass. What have we got? That's something. And then we can also do the same that we did here. We can take the controller 24, copy, paste to control the feedback. So this one, controller 24 on channel 9. Right, should do it. How about this? Sometimes this is all you need. Yeah. So this is all in MIDI land. Let's do something with CV before we call it a day, shall we? Let's do that. Right, some reorganization. We're in the CV layout. We need a CV machine. Okay, so new layout. So now we've got 3 different layouts here. So this one, we're gonna do some CV action. So we've got 12 CV outputs here, and we've got stuff here. All right, first thing I'm going to do is send out a gate, going to 0 CV to high CV to open a gate. And so in that manner, trigger something. Right, I'm going to trigger this. Akemi's Taiko. Need cables. First of all, key. I'm going to do it in this style. Edge color to make it very visible. So here we go. We have a key. And I want a ripple because I am satisfied. When I see this little ring, I know I have pressed it. We will not have any MIDI going on. I'm actually going to turn that off for now, everything. I'm going to head down here to the very bottom and turn on control voltage for this element. So, by default, it's enabled and it's sending output on CV output 1. Yes. So something is going to come out of CV output 1. So first I'm going to do, assume that this is a gate. I'm going to send it to Akemi's Taiko here, trigger. And then we're going to send audio output. I'm going to send it straight to the output mixer here. Bridge the output over to the output module here. Into here. Turn up the volume. And let's see. It worked first try. That's really cool. Longer. Waveform. Algorithm. Alright, so we've got a little drum going on. Sending out a gate through CV1, going to the trigger of this drum module. How can we just hijack this module and make everything we can to make it very expressive and playable? Well, I don't have that long cables. I think I'll turn it around a little bit. I have this excellent stand, and that way I can kind of put it at an angle, maybe like so. This kind of works. We're back. I'm going to make it slightly larger. And then I'm going to say that the higher up I go, the higher control voltage, volt per octave, I'm going to send into the volt per octave in here. I need longer cables. So there we go, volt per octave. So this now is connected to number 2. And I think it is actually already sending out something, volt per octave. So whenever control voltage is turned on an element, you could just start stacking up how many outputs you want to use per element of CV output. And right now, we're only using gate output. So that is using output number 1. Output number 2 will be the next one in the list that we make available. So if we toggle on now, CV Y absolute position 0 to 5 and see what happens. This CV output is now the second CV signal being sent from this element, and that will come out on the following one. So if I would have set this CV output to 5, for instance, it would start on 5, and then the next CV output would be the following numerical in a numerical order, and then it starts stacking up, like making a list of outputs. Right, we've got a beautiful FM drum. The range is very large right now. How about making the range a little smaller? Yeah, let's go in here. We got the X, Y here, and instead of going from 0 to 5, let's go from 0 to, I don't know, 1.82. Nice. FM drum, super quirky. We want to control like velocity. Let's try that. So on this one, I'm going to make velocity available. And look what happens now. We've got one output here with a gate, another with pitch. But technically in this list, velocity comes between those. So I think it's going to reorder the outputs. So velocity available. Let's see what happens now. It doesn't follow that rule, but it follows velocity now. So I need to be aware of these things and move this to the other one. Cool, it works. And in between there, we got velocity. So velocity, what do we want to do with that? Maybe velocity could be something afterwards. Let's plug it into here to Aikido. Send that audio into the wild. And then let the velocity attenuate the volume. Right, so that's our FM drum now. Maybe try another. Maybe we could hook up something to control the waveform. So let's make a little slider here. Fader, control voltage enabled. Y is going out on output. Number 4, it has already detected that these are taken. So it's suggesting CV port 4, which is nice. This is now on CV4. Let's see what we can do. So CV4 is going to control waveform. Cool. And then we make another one. And we let that control the algorithm. How about that? That is fun. Here we go. Suggested output 5. Nice. Enabled. Different color. Here we go. So how about another one to be release time of the first operator. A fader here. I'm going to turn it on its side just to make sure I can distinguish everything from one another. So this one should be anything on its side is time-based. Is that a good rule? Rule of thumb. I'm going to put it here and say control voltage out. Yes, enabled. It suggests output 6. Very nice. This should then be controlling the release time of operator 1. Here we go. Oh, this is direct. No attenuator. So we've got a quirky drum with very basic velocity, just volume. And then we've got waveform control, algorithm, and release time. on the first operator. Let's make another one for another instrument, which is a little bit more tonal. I'm going to go into this chord module here. Let's make a keyboard. Go down to control voltage, gate, and volt per octave. Output, channel 7. So it should occupy 7 and 8. So let's first just listen to it. Listen straight to the output. Sounds wonderful. Now I'm going to send that signal first into this one. And I'm going to attenuate that signal in the Aikido with this gate. Works like a charm. Okay. Very crude. It's just opening and closing. And then the volts per octave, the note data, is going to send that, which is the next one, into, where are we? Volts per octave. Here we go. In this chord module, we want to control some structures or something. Let's create another a slider, fader, turn it on its side. Nicer color. And now I want this slider to control the chord's voicing. Voicing, go to control voltage, output 9. Maybe that's it. How about this then? Another slider to control this parameter, waveform. Right here, wave. So I'm going to copy this and paste it. I'm going to set it to output 10. Wave control. Let's see what we got. Okay, so now we've got a modular chord machine. And we've got this one, which is a really weird drum. If I'm just going to go ahead and start playing now, I can turn on this weird metronome that is vibrating the whole piece here. It's not very precise, unfortunately, but I could use that as my timing. And I could use the quantization here on board. So pressing again, it turns red. 2, 3, 4. Let's try it. Yeah, how about this? Okay, I'm gonna add some. Increase the tempo. Head over to this one. We can see that this is flashing here. What does that mean? It means that we weren't careful to just make sure that everything is on MIDI, on separate MIDI channels. Even though it's not playing MIDI, it's still, this one is on channel 1. On the other layout, this one is on channel 1 as well. So it's wise to separate things, even though you're not using them. Internally, it might still be kind of firing on separate places at the same time. And one thing here is that you can see both of these, they are the same length, 16 steps long. If I want this chord to be much longer, it's very simple to change that. You just go in here to the steps and increase it. I think 256 is the maximum. I'm going to set it to 64. There we go. So the nice thing with this now, with modular, is that it doesn't have to be that rigid. So now, for instance, instead of just playing a normal chord, I could do like a vibrato, for instance, or a slide. Let's make a little take here. So let's see. Okay. Okay, let's do this. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Rhythm. Get more. To a delay. Just cat. Yeah. And now we're running this from the internal clock here. So this is synchronized by nothing. It's internal clock. What if we want to synchronize this to something else? Let's hook this up again and make another case study. So in order to synchronize this whole thing to external thing, we need to do it through MIDI. So I'm going to hook this up again. It's still. How about using that as something to sync up to? So how do you do that? Well, first of all, this is MIDI input to here, right? So yeah, sure, we can connect that again. So we're back. That was a MIDI out A. So this was for this, right? Cool, it's still working. What I want to do now is to connect this to MIDI out. So what comes out of here, I'm going to set it up first. MIDI, configure, sync. And here we can say clock send, transport send. So now it's going to send the clock, the tempo, and also whether it's playing or not. And this is going to come through this beautiful MIDI cable here, MIDI input here. So now we should have clock here coming from there, but we need to set this up to receive it as well. It's very simple. You press this button here, the settings, you go down to, scroll down to clock, press it. It's now internal. You can have it through USB from there as well if you want. Now it's in MIDI. So now it should have MIDI. So now I can't even start this because it's waiting for an external clock and transport to tell it whether it's even playing. But we can already see that the clock, it says 159. Let's check here, 159 BPM. The clock is already synced. So if I press play here now, it is running. So let's mute a bunch of stuff here just to see. So it's now synchronized. But I'm recording this. I should have done that. So I'm gonna So if I go in here and change the BPM, yeah, it's synchronized, it's working. This is getting way too long, but that's what happens when you get really deep into something. You spend time and you get deeper and deeper into something, and you get more and more invested. And that's something I want you to know, that whatever I'm making on this channel, it's something I personally care about, and that's making me like super nerdy about something, going deep dive down into it. Yeah, but it's getting way too long. I hope you get like a little overview, even though it's kind of chaotic now. But that's what happens when you get down into the dirt and dig deeper. But that's where all the fun is, once you get through the deepest corners of something, and then it's just stuff that you know, and then becomes tools and instruments and something you can express yourself through. And this is a really, really nice system for that, to reach into places in devices where it would have otherwise been kind of hard to fiddle and hard to reach into. This becomes so much hands-on, well, once you set up your little solutions and layouts. And it's simple and elegant. All right, so it's getting way too long. Thank you for hanging out with me, and thank you for watching. Hope to make more videos like this, deep downs, mega tutorials on various instruments and gear that I really care about, like this and other things. And yeah, if you're interested in the Erae 2, please head over to the link in the descriptions below and use the code that I specified in the description as well, because then you get a 10% discount, and that also serves as a little affiliate link where I get a little share as well. So you get a discount, I get a little share, which is nice. So I know they're working really hard on big updates to come, so always stay up to date on the latest news from them. They are a small team in France, and they're very eager to establish themselves as a real interesting player in the electronic music field. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this, and hit me up in the comments if there's something you want to share. Hit me up on Patreon. Thank you everyone for doing that. That is a lifeline for me. Head over to my web store and purchase my sample packs over there. I'm not going to keep you anymore. Thanks for watching, and peace out. See you in the next video.